Connecting to your heart chakra is the first thing that you learn when you come to MSU. Why? Because your heart is the direct connection to your soul. So of course, that's where we want to start. We want to start by learning how to effectively go in and open and know what that means, and not just read it, in a book, not maybe understand it on the intellectual level of, yeah, I know I need to connect to my heart. I know it's the connection to my soul. But what does that actually feel like? What does that involve? What is the actual process to do that? And it starts with going in and doing the work, doing what we call at MSU, the real work, which is actually energetically beginning that connection. And when I first ever did this in class with the guidance of Rachel, it was extremely subtle. I had no idea what I was doing, kept on getting trapped in my mind. And if you're in your mind, you're not in your heart. So where we first begin with our students is learning how to first just drop in and learn how to connect. And of course, all of our conditioning, our programming is created around disconnecting from our heart, the true light that we are. And your heart isn't always like love and joy and peace, right? Sometimes connecting to our heart means just allowing ourselves to feel the pain that's there without making it go away or be different, right? If we're just want things to be good all the time, that isn't connected to our heart. That isn't what our divinity actually is. So through this work, you learn how to actually embrace everything that shows up. So we learn how to first connect to our heart. So when I first started connecting, it was very, very, very subtle. And I just would experience this sensation of being very calm, and things would just quieten down. I felt very quiet. It was like all the chaos of my mind that was constantly running would just settle down. And I started to get this sensation, and it still comes up every now and again. And this, I think, was unique to me, but I had this sensation where it almost felt like I was going to sneeze. And every time that it would like bubble up, it would come through me. I would spend the time, I would drop in. And I did a practice. So we recommend, do this as much as you can when you're first a student. Obviously, always do this as much as you can. Learn how to connect to your heart all the time. That's the whole point, is learning how to apply this to in each and every instance of your life. But as you begin as a student, you have to really learn this in isolation. You can't learn this necessarily on the fly, doing it in real time in practice. That's where we want to get to. But when we first begin, we need to build, a practice, establish the connection to our heart without any, external stimuli, without having to do it while you're at work and you're triggered. We want to get there. So that every interaction you're having, you're connecting to your heart first, of course. But in order to get there, we've got to really establish the connection, right? So when I first would do this, I would feel this sensation after a few minutes. I would stop, I would drop in, I would connect. A few minutes, this sensation would bubble up. And then I would know, oh man, I could really feel every time that would arrive, I would feel like some level of deeper connection than I normally felt. And what happened at the beginning is that would come up, and then shortly after, sadness would start to flow. So clearly this is an energy that's linked here between, this behavioral physical symptom of energy coming up and me feeling almost like I'm going to sneeze, and then eventually sadness would start to flow through. And the more and more and more I've been doing this for like 4 years now, sometimes I'll get that sensation and it's not necessarily followed by sadness. And that was kind of my marker. I always knew, when this comes up, I'm definitely connected. Because one of the biggest challenges we have when we first start connecting to our heart is, how do I know I'm connected? How do I actually know I'm connected to my heart? And that's a great question. And it's something that I've asked again and again and again. And each level that I go up in my level of consciousness, I feel like I know nothing. And I've asked Rachel a million times this, and she's like, yeah, it's because you don't at this new level. And this is something I've experienced time and time again. I don't know anything at this new level. I've got to relearn everything from a higher level of consciousness, because things are going to feel and seem, I'll experience it different as I go up in my levels of consciousness. Of course, that's normal. That's part of, being humble, in the way of humility is, I don't know anything, which allows us to be open to receive everything that's there. When we're in our spiritual ego and we think we know it all, we're actually closed off from actually learning and experiencing what's out there. And I've learned that time and time again. The more I'm able to humble myself and truly learn on an energetic level, I can get out of my mind. And that's the key, right? Is we need to learn how to get out of our thinking mind and into our heart, which is very hard because all we've been conditioned to is to live up here. Why? Because our divinity exists within our heart. The forces that, work against us, the evil that's out there, doesn't want us connected to our divinity, connected to our heart centers. They don't want that, because if we all become empowered, sovereign beings, they lose control. So how do they keep us in control? They keep us in the mind. How do they do that? That's a whole other topic. I'm actually taking a class right now, all learning about mind control through MSU, taught by our mystical professor Max Lowen and, of course, Rachel Fiore. And I'm loving that class because it fascinates me to understand how everyone, including myself, has been brainwashed. We live in our mind. We live in the brain. We can be brainwashed. We live in our heart. You can't be brainwashed when you live in your heart. You see the truth. You can feel the truth. And this is the key, is we learn how to feel what our soul and our divinity is. So we have to actually devote ourselves, be willing and devoted to learn the practice of getting out of the craziness of our mind and dropping our presence down into our heart and really opening and expanding and experiencing what that is. It's not something that you can just read about and understand. You can gain a certain level of understanding from our intellect, of course. And often in this world, because we've been so dominated by mental intellect, we have to start there. We have to start understanding, okay, this is how powerful my heart is. This is how it works on a conceptual level, that it's this center point, the 0 point in my whole field, where when I embrace any lower emotions, everything can be transformed. That it's not about just feeling good and love and light only. In my heart center, the true connection to my divinity, it's about embracing all of the good, all of the bad, all of the light, all of the dark. And this is how we literally collapse the dimension of duality. Everyone talks about 5D, I'm going to 5D, New Earth. And there is a huge global awakening that's happening on the planet, but the way that we get there is to collapse the polarity that exists between us. When we bridge one side and the other together in oneness, we take the light and the dark together at the same time. That's when the experience of duality that keeps us trapped in us, them, left, right, Republican, Democrat, blue, red, black, white, whatever wherever it applies. This is the energetic programming that keeps us trapped in opposition. It's not oneness. Oneness is, I embrace the light aspects of myself and I embrace the dark. New Age spirituality is just one extreme of only going into the light and bypassing the dark. Real spirituality is becoming the center point, the bridge between those two extremes, between the dark shadow and the ever-shining light. When we're able to be in neutrality, the center point, that's when these two things dissolve. So we literally go from this low dualistic, 3D level, and we collapse that dimension literally by elevating to what people call the fifth dimension, oneness consciousness, by being grounded in our heart, anchored in our heart, and dissolving what comes up. It's never about going too far into the spiritual bypassing light or, just drowning in my suffering and my shadow. It's about being the bridge in between, being the connection, the center point that allows those two things to transform. So when we're connecting to our heart, it's not just about going into the light, though we do want to experience that. We want to experience what it's like to feel the warmth and the love that's there when things are good. But it's also about experiencing that same sensation when things are bad. And sometimes that means being okay with the absence of light. Being totally okay. This is something that I had to move through. Can I 100% just go into the darkness and not need to change it? Can I go all the way in there? Can I descend all the way down and not have a part of me show up that says, I don't want to feel this. I don't like this. I don't want to be here. Because they're all programs that need bringing back into oneness. They're all parts of me that are hiding in my shadow, that are scared, that feel powerless, that feel weak and insecure. And when I'm able to be with those parts, even while I'm going into what feels like the darkest depths of my shadow, and still embrace it with my heart, my divinity, without needing it to be light, that's when I discover what the true light of my heart is. See, the light of my own heart, the light of my own divinity, it isn't just making things good all the time. That's spiritual bypassing. That's new age bullshit. And there's a lot of that out there. Just feel gratitude, just feel good things, just be positive. We want to be positive in life, of course, right? We want to do good in the world. But we don't do good in the world by turning away from the darkness. We don't do good in the world by separating ourselves from seeing any part of us that has shown up that way. We actually do good in the world and become a divine being when we're able to see both the light aspects of ourselves and the shadow. And it isn't about going into your shadow and just seeing what's in there and shaming yourself. It's about, can I go in there and still connect? And that's an energy process. It's an energetic process. It isn't just something I say and talk about. It's, can I actually go into the shadow aspect of me that's showing up right now? Can I go all the way in there, into that pain, that what feels like maybe a dark cave? And can I just love it for what it is? Not from the level of mind or intellect or a conceptual understanding of what I'm supposed to do, whether I think I'm 5D or not. Can I actually go into that part of me and love it? And that's what connecting to your heart is. So it can begin with simply just establishing this connection. And then where it will go to as you practice this over time and time and time, and you start to bring in the things that trigger you and the things that, have wounded you and your traumas and your programming and the conditioning you received, and you start to dissolve it with the light that you are, what you will see in your life is everything starts to shift and transform. Why? Because you are transforming at the energetic level. All of the programs, the conditioning, we've all learned, you've learned to do this, is to reduce down your own light and expansion. We've learned to sever our connection from our heart right here. Why do you think it's a cross like that? It's something that Rachel teaches all the time. There's podcasts about it. This whole thing is to cut off the connection to our own divinity, our own heart. It's about allowing ourselves to expand from here. Not to cut it all off. To allow our heart to expand. And connecting to our heart, that doesn't just mean I only feel good things. I only feel positive things. In fact, there's this moment I had when I was in the depths of my depression. And I was really, really, really suffering. And someone close to me said, hey, when you're feeling a little down, just play this music. It'll cheer you up. And it really pissed me off. Because obviously this person had no idea what I was going through. I didn't. But you can't just paint over by playing a piece of music the depths of your despair. That's not what transforms it. That's spiritual bypassing. That's trying to just be in the light. That's trying to be in what you might perceive as good, or the light, or your heart. Or when we are pushing away and avoiding what it is that we're really feeling, that's not our connection to our heart at all. The connection to our heart is allowing what's here to be here. Is allowing everything that's showing up in my reality to be present without needing to change it or go away. And the irony here, it's a paradox, that when we are doing this work, we are doing it to heal, to transform, so that eventually the pain that we're experiencing does go away, right? We want that, of course we do. But when we come from it, when we come to do that from the energy of, I want this pain to go away because I don't want it here, that's very different to I embrace what's here and I'm in oneness with what's here. And it was a big shift when I realized internally, not from the level of mind again, internally, when I realized if I'm trying to make something go away, by being in the light, by being in my heart, I'm not in my heart. That might be a mindful. When I'm trying to make something go away by just being in my heart, I'm not actually in my heart. I'm in my mind, trying to be in my heart, trying to connect to my heart so that the pain will go away, instead of truly being in my heart. Truly allowing myself to see what's here, because this is what happens, right? We start to do the work, we start to form this connection to our heart, and then other programs start to come online. Why? Because we're actually connecting. Our shadow starts to come into the light because there's a light shining on it. There's a light powerful enough right now to start to heal what's there. And it can be a very challenging experience to move through all of the different layers of, like, you know, we limited ourselves down so much. And as soon as we start connecting really to the power that we are, all the parts of us that have been hidden away are like, hey, I want to be transformed. I want to go back to, you know, the light that I am. I want to elevate in my consciousness, but you need to see me first. This part of me that's, you know, 5 years old, hey, Danny, see me. Like, pick me today, you know? I'm going to trigger you and I'm going to pull on you as hard as you can so that you look at me, because there was something that I needed in that moment that I didn't get. And I can see that now you're connecting to your heart. You're powerful enough to give me what I actually needed. And what did I need? I needed to remember that I already have that connection. And that's going to be different based on which wound's showing up, right? But these parts of us will show up as we begin to connect. And that's all part of the process. And one of the common pitfalls, and I still fall into it now, is forgetting that when we are really doing this work, there is going to be more and more and more and more and more parts of us showing up. It doesn't mean that I'm going backwards. It means that I'm actually doing it. And it can feel like I'm going backwards, but it means that I'm actually doing it. Because as I'm making this connection, the parts of me that are ready to be healed are coming forward. They're ready. They're ready for that connection too. We have to do the work to energetically navigate what it is that we're feeling in the moment. And this is all part of establishing a true connection to our own heart. Not going too far in either direction, getting lost in our suffering and our shadow, not bypassing by just being in the light, but by actually truly experiencing what it means to be in oneness in our own heart. And that means allowing the programs to come up, seeing them for what they are, and still moving through the process of transformation. When we do that again and again and again, over time, it allows our awareness not to be going into the mind. It allows our awareness to be based in the heart, but we have to actually do the work to clear out all the disconnection, all the severance, all the separation. It doesn't just happen instantly when we're like, okay, well, I'm going to start connecting to my heart now, so I'm good. Right? It doesn't work like that. And that's why, you know, we work with people for a long period of time is so you can actually learn how to establish this connection for real. For real, for real. Not just be in your mind like, oh yeah, I'm connecting to my heart, I'm feeling it, you know, when deep down there's all these other programs running, right? But this is really, it really is, this is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And the best thing that I did was learn this work and keep doing it. Keep coming back to the foundational teachings and exploring more and more. Okay, I think I know what this is. Now let me come back and review, go back to the beginning. Do I actually know what this is? Do I actually know what this connection is? And what I find is I don't. Because each level I go up in my level of consciousness, I realize the level at which I was connecting before was not as deep as I thought it was, because that's coming from the mind. It actually goes way deeper, and there's so much more. There's deeper levels of connection that we can achieve. We just have to do the work to get there. It is a practice. It does take willingness. It does take devotion. And all it takes is the right guidance. That's it. It just takes somebody who's willing to do the work, and somebody who's, willing to follow somebody else, just like I did 4 years ago. Following Rachel, learning how I can become what it is that she's become already. Rachel isn't here to create followers. She's here to create leaders. That's what MSU is about. It's about creating leaders who have become the divine power that they already are. But we have to become that. We don't come down here on earth and we just wave a magic wand and we've automatically become a divinely powerful, enlightened being. It's a process that we have to do the work. And that requires us to first, it's the most foundational thing, is to just learn how to connect to our heart, to truly know what that means, and then revisit it again and again and again. Each time we think we've got it, go back in and learn it again. And that's what allows us to not be trapped in our mind so much and do the real work on ourselves from our heart.